you're on now. Hmm? Oh, okay. Yeah. No, you're not muted. I can hear you. Say something.
You want to introduce themselves? Is Loretta on? So maybe we can start with her questions.
I don't know.
Is she there?
I know
Dwayne?
said anything yet.
Okay. You got enough people or what? Dwayne?
Hmm?
She haven't said anything yet?
Loretta, no.
Let's go ahead and start then. These are the 3 questions that someone wrote in with.
Oh, someone. Oh. You two have put it at Pacific time.
Pacific time, what?
It said the stream, yeah.
The screen has Pacific time?
The live stream would start at the right time, but PST, which will be 3 hours from now. Okay.
So that's why she's not on?
Yeah.
She's in Hawaii, right?
Yeah.
All right. So let's go ahead and start. I guess she can rewind it. These are the questions that she wrote in with. Is there any correlation between the lower chakras and of the body and the upper chakra, upper ones? So, and then she also talked about, are there energy centers in the arms and hands and fingers? Can you discuss the difference between the similarities and interactions between uh, sound and light? And I think I did. All of this is in my videos if you go back and look at them. But I'll go into them a little bit today. And I pulled up these. So we talked about this. Let's see. Here or here. look here on the screen. Um, you want to show them the screen here? And the main thing about this is, I don't know, this might be online. Um, this shows the 7 major chakras along the spine, and of course, this chakra being the crown chakra. Um, the main reason why we're tied up in the lower chakras is because of these 20. I thought it was 21. 20 or 21. What what the what the ancient people call impurity traits, and these impurity traits are are things that we have to bring under control. I'm sure there's much more than this, but these are the ones that stand out, and each one of these have different categories. So uh, our consciousness, our, our consciousness exists within the two lower chakras here. This is where most of the world population consciousness resides. We operate from there. Not saying that we don't have anything to do with the other chakras. That's not so, because all the chakras are interrelated, and we cannot function without the upper chakras. To give history of the mystic teachings, or the ancient teachings of the mystics, in reference to the yoga or the chakras, that the Brahmic man who was here before the Adamic man, which we are the Adamic man, we they did not function on these three levels of consciousness, because each chakra is a level of consciousness. They did not uh, live or reside on those levels of consciousness. They resided, their base consciousness was at the heart chakra, according to the ancient teachings. It says it right there in the Vedas and the Upanishads that was translated from the Vedas. So, so, so that's why they had control over their mind. They were able to uh, to live on multiple planes of existence. They were able to dematerialize, rematerialize, move around. They were able to tap into the energies of the sun, moon, and earth rapidly. Uh, the earth the earth gave up its is what we call element X. It was flourishing at that time. The bodies that was made from the earth, that in order for mankind to live here, uh, it was those bodies can live for thousands of years because of this element X, which some people later on call the fountain of youth. But it was it was an element that was abundant during those days and was pulled back as Adamic man came into the earth and began to destroy themselves and the environment. And the karmic law had to withdraw that substance, and which limited the time, the years and time that we can spend here on the earth. So, one of the things is that when when uh, when the ring passed not, because what happened, they called it, what Madame Blavatsky called it, the ring passed not, that the great ones placed around the earth in order to limit the the energy flow of the earth between man and animal, and between the cosmos and man, so that all the energies traveling from the sun and the moon and the other planets will be limited what they can give. So they put a screen around the earth, and what it did, it began to change the environment of the earth, and also the bodies in which we can exist in. So then our bodies became denser and weaker, and the result of that is that the heart chakra expanded and went down and made available the lower chakras, so that a new intelligence, a new race of people can gain the necessary experience they needed along their karmic line, along their karma. Because why? Because they had created this negative karma that they couldn't exist. They couldn't be born into a race that had their consciousness at the heart chakra. They had to be born at a race in a race where their chakra, where they can exist in the lower chakras, in the lower regions of consciousness, not in the higher regions of consciousness. So this went on for hundreds of years, thousands of years, until the metamorphosis was made. Man, at that time, most of man lived, almost all man lived on the lower astral realms, because the lower astral realms, we gotta understand, when the lower astral realms was created, the first introduction of man had to be in the lower astral realms. Had to be in the lower astral realms. So because they couldn't come here, if they would have went to the higher realms from the heart chakra up, they would have automatically been went through the recycle. In other words, because their consciousness couldn't stand that pressure. So lower realms had to be created. You had to have a metamorphosis of the earth. The earth had to become denser and denser and denser. The bodies that they exist in had to become denser and denser and denser until the right body mate came about. They were able to be introduced into the physical realm, and then began their cycles of the physical realm. Even during the Lemurian time, they lived long lives, but they soon lost that right because of the destruction of Lemurians. Even during the times of Atlantis, they lived longer lives than what they do now, but they lost that right because of the destruction they did to Atlantis, and the ring pass knot, or the atmospheric belt that we call the ionosphere belt that was placed around the Earth. It had to be intensified in order to further uh, uh, slow down the evolution of man, and the energy was given to man to allow him to evolve, so that he can evolve. In other words, so now when you this physical body doesn't live long. We don't stay in this physical body long simply because of our own karmic pattern. And the elements that allowed us to live long lives have been extracted from the surface of the earth and moved back closer to the logos of the earth. Now, of course, the ring pass knot, or the ozone layer is slowly disappearing now. The ionosphere belt is slowly around this earth. It's slowly disappearing. So now you have an increase in birth from the lower astral realm, unfortunately, or the lower realms, and you have a new set of bodies being uh, introduced to this earth because of this 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 removal of the ring pass knot. Okay, so soon you would we go into a transition. It may take hundreds of thousands of years again to make the transition, but it's happening, and the karma of man will increase. His negative karma, the pressures of karma will increase on him to begin to weed out uh, those people who are ready to move forward versus those people who are not ready to move forward. So, so that's that's just a little history uh, of why this is the way it is. Now, let's go back into this thing here. The base, the base chakra, the root chakra, the base of the spine. It has impurity traits of desire, anger, greed, delusion, according to the ancient teachings. Uh, the sex chakra. Now, the base chakra is the chakra where basic consciousness is formed. The next chakra level is pride, is the sex chakra, which is where consciousness resides. You have consciousness form in the base chakra here, in the base of the spine, and then in the sex chakra you have where consciousness resides. Okay, so in that chakra they identified pride, attachment, hatred, passion, malice, and jealousy. Right. So in and these are negative deposits of mind energy that forms in the character of man and lives in the subconscious of man, in a sense, in the unconscious and subconscious instinct. So he's pulling on his own negative experience, and he have embedded these seeds of impurities within himself, and he's in constant tug of war with himself, because intellectually, if you ask him about pride, he can tell you, oh, pride is not good under most circumstances, and it's only good in these circumstances. But in his quiet mind, he acts differently, because he refused to act in a way where he's part of a collective consciousness. He act in a way where it's just him. So, and that's a major problem, you know, and that's what bring out the negativity of these things. So, in the solar plexus center, which is a little higher than higher than the others, but you're still suffering with certain impurity traits. You know, selfishness, fear, envy, laziness, possession, deceit, revenge, guilt, and craving. Still, so all of these impurity traits have to be uh, controlled and conquered in order to move past these realms of consciousness. Now, of course, within a couple of weeks ago, we talked about conscious mind, subconscious mind, and superconscious mind and supraconscious mind. The supraconscious mind is everywhere in the body, but yet it is it is physically it's the smallest part of the body, and then the next smallest part is the superconscious mind. Uh, and but yet it doesn't need to be huge, but yet it's still everywhere, and it still has influence over everything. But by karmic law, it must allow these basic mind energies or formation of thoughts to cure itself. See, it must allow it, because if you create something, you are obligated to take that out of creation, in other words, or to see it through. Or if you start something, you must finish it. So that's karmic law. And by doing that, then you have gained control over it and you have moved on. You really don't need to experience that anymore. So that's one of the great secrets uh, that mystics teach. If you start something, you must finish it. You know, uh, you must bring it to an end in a conscious fashion, in a conscious state of in a conscious frame of mind. So, and with your own effort and intent, not someone else's effort and intent. So that's why you find people having to repeat things, because they get into something and they don't see it through. And because they don't see it through, they linger there for decades sometimes, or lifetimes. They die and come back and come back and die, come back until they learn that lesson. So when you start something, look to finish it. If not, you'll be on the merry-go-round. So although, like I told you all before, that the supraconscious mind is the background for the superconscious mind, and the supra and superconscious mind is the background for the subconscious mind, and then the superconscious, and subconscious mind is the background for the conscious mind, the mind in which you are aware of, or at least a little bit. you know, Most of us are a little bit aware of our conscious mind. Although our conscious mind is taking in a lot of stuff, but we're really not aware of it. We only focus where our interests lie. And that's one of the limitations that we suffer with, as opposed to an adept or a master or a cosmic master. You know, they are conscious at all times, everywhere. You know, they have a connection to a collective consciousness of everything around them. They're not limited in this funnel of or I want to say this shell. They're not in the shell. Their mind is connected. So that's the difference between us and the higher people and the higher advanced people. So now, to say that that's our inner relationship with the higher chakras, that's one of them. Also, the third eye, or Christ center, like I like calling it, is the command center, and the supraconscious and superconscious operates from there. Is actually it's a part. It's a place where the soul can give a command to the supra and superconscious mind in order for something to be carried out, in order for the right karmic reaction to happen, and then that control center make sure that those things happen in that way. Meaning that even what you're seeing now is controlled by the Christ Center, although you have no connection to it, because the basic consciousness that the soul is allowing you to operate out of in this lifetime, in this life screen, it only allows you to see through those particular chakras. Although the higher part of you is working diligently to help you evolve and to manipulate your aura so that you are in the right place at the right time whenever you need to be. See, so that's the difference. That's the correlation. That's another correlation between you and the higher chakras. See, remember that the auric, this represents the auric body. The physical body is tightly fitted within the auric body, and all the mind energy, the Tavic energy, the love energy, the Mahabhuta's energy, the prana energies, all of them have to enter into that sphere, into this ovoid shaped auric body of yours at the acceptance of the soul. And that energy must be manipulated according to law by the commands of the soul, which actually give the energy to the Devic kingdom in order to allow the Devic kingdom to manipulate that energy in the aura. So now, if you feed the aura the right energies, then you can evolve. Most yoga is about cleansing the aura. you know, most yoga techniques is about cleansing the aura. That's what it's about. Nothing else really. Because once you cleanse the aura, what happens?
Purify the nadis.
Hmm?
Purify the nadis.
You purify the nadis. So when you purify the nadis, then a free flow of energy can flow. So that's the interrelationship between. That's not all. I can go and talk for the next 12 hours about this because there's so much information that can be brought about by this. But I have dozens of classes on that, and this is just one of the diagrams. I think I got 6 more diagrams.
Does bravery begin manifest in regards to the freedoms at the solar plexus?
No, well, bravery can be used. Bravery is more than just a manifestation of bravery. Bravery is a technique. It can be used as a technique in order to mold and shape the impurities in the body.
Okay.
So if we go back, let's say we go back here and look at these impurities, right? Mm-hmm. Desire, anger, greed, delusion. Most of this come out of what?
Fear.
Fear. So if you brave, then bravery, you became brave because of what?
You overcame that, or you faced it.
Because you had some type of knowledge. You came to some type of understanding that pushed you on a solid ground of knowledge that I can defend myself against these things. If I act this way, if I walk this way, if I think this way, then I'm brave enough to defend myself against what? Against desires, which may lead me to the wrong place. Anger, which comes about from ignorance, right? Greed, which which come about from ignorance again, and fear that someone gonna have something that you're not gonna have. So So bravery is a technique that arrives or can be used from understanding and knowledge. So once you get a certain understanding and knowledge, then you can defend yourself. And you're not deluded anymore. You know where solid ground is.
Mm-hmm.
You know where to stand in order to take the blow. So bravery is not only just manifested, but you have a technique. It's a technique to allow you to fight your way through these different impurities. That's in you. You're not being and you. It's not an impurity that you picked up from someone, although you can. But mostly it's because of your position. In a sea of mind that is almost artificial
Mm-hmm.
because it's a creation of a collective mind of everyone. We have polluted the mind belt. You know, we have polluted the mind belt, and now we have layers and layers and layers of these impurities that we must repel from our aura in order to have a clean and pure aura and a frame of mind that's not affected by it. So that's the correlation between that, and you can use bravery, you can use uh, uh, love energy, like in the nine freedoms, and you can use service and enlightenment. Dr. King wrote a book that he translated from a Cosmic Avatar that talked about the nine freedoms, and these are steps towards our freedom of rebirth and our freedom to go into the cosmos, to live in the cosmos. But we must move our consciousness away from the lower chakras and begin to manifest our consciousness on any level we want to manifest it on along the line here, until we break the wheel of rebirth, where we can live on higher states of consciousness, higher levels of existence. So now we use the upper chakras in order to stir uh, development. In other words, when we pray, we move energy in and out of the solar plexus center. Why do we do that? I mean, the heart chakra. Why do we do that? We do that because that's a pure channel of entry and exit for us, and it's an inherited per channel, because if we inherited a similar body from the Brahmic man before we came here, that was a clear channel, a clear basic channel for them, and now it's a channel that we aspire to be at in order to evolve or raise our consciousness above all this craziness here that we're going through, all these impurities. So that's why you seek to do that. And that's why it's one of the safest chakras that you can concentrate on. To concentrate on any other chakra without proper guidance can hurt you. But that channel, you won't be hurt because karmically it's open for you. Okay?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, if our consciousness is housed in the sex center,
Mm-hmm.
yet in prayer we're pushing energy in and out of the heart center,
Mm-hmm.
how are we able to do that, to operate from such a higher center without any negative consequence to ourselves?
Because we're told in a sense that I want want to say, it's told that, I think I wrote it down here. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but let me look at this. It's not here. Let me go here. Well, let's look at it like this. It's easier for the soul, and don't take my words wrong. The soul can operate wherever it wants, but it's a good point where the soul operates. We're told that the seat of the soul is within the heart. I think that's how they say it, and that's, of course, that's some flyer way to say it. But in other words, it's a point that's in constant operation, because when we look at it, when we look at the heart center, yeah, see it say here, the seat of the soul, right? So when we look at the heart center, what do we notice about the heart center? What are we told?
It is
You remember?
a point of manifestation for it.
It's a point where what happens here builds what?
Meaning to movement of consciousness.
Yeah.
Formation of the subtle bodies.
So the subtle bodies to the physical body is what?
The background.
The background. So consciousness moves easier and can be transformed easier at the heart chakra than the lower basic chakras. You understand?
Okay.
Because of that.
Okay.
So, and that's why they name it the seat of the soul, because the soul is what? Is what? Is in constant operation there. And then when you look at it physically, what do we notice about that region of the heart chakra? We notice that 21,600 breaths are taken per day there. The heart beat, dozens and dozens of times per what? Per minute there. So we can see that there's constant operation happening there. It's from there that all the blood in the body moves out and comes back, and is oxygenated and is filtered out of the body. So it is the seat of the soul. It's the place where the soul is in constant operation. And then when we look at it mystically, we're told that the soul, in order to make that thing happen, and in order to make that happen, what does the soul do? The soul repeats a sacred mantra 21,600 times a day. And that's what keeps you breathing. When the soul stops that, you exit the body. The body is no longer comically fit for you. So you have to leave. So that's what the teachings teach us about, about this. So it can all be correlated right back to a phrase or a diagram, or even a full book about these things, because books have been written about those things. So that's where pranayama comes into, and mantra satra and tantra comes into it. The soul, the heart is the seat of the soul. And that's why it's easier for us to move energy out and move energy in, because why? That's a point where that's happening. That's a point where that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier for us to move across the ocean in a sense than to fly through the air, at a certain level of consciousness. Then when we get to another level of consciousness, it's easier for us to move through the air. Because why? Because our consciousness worked there. It understand the air now.
Mm-hmm.
But when we were at a very basic level, we understood the air can push us across the ocean. So so now so now we're, as we move towards the removal of the ozone layer, a lot of technology is becoming relevant to us, and it's clear. It's like, oh, why didn't we think about that before? You know, that's why we use computers today, because we really understand the electronic magnetic spectrum. At least we think we do.
Mm-hmm.
So as we expand our consciousness on different levels, we will realize the technology that's always been here and that is available for us, and in the mystic world too. So that's why we can do that. We live on each level of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Our soul exists. Nothing exists without the soul. Absolutely nothing.
So as as the consciousness expands, so do the impurities.
No,
No.
no. But if the impurities expand, if it seems like it's expanding, then that means you are involving. Because the higher you go, the more you understand that you must restrict your actions uh, uh, to to the law. In other words, if you're walking down the road or a pathway, then you know that you got to put one foot in front of the next, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're running, you notice you know that you have to move at a certain velocity so that you can have time to what? Stop in case something come in front of you. Or also you have to have a clear pathway because you don't want to do what? Trip, right? So what do? You restrict yourself to certain laws, right? That's in all movement.
Mm-hmm.
When we traveling on the ocean, we do what? We restrict ourselves to certain laws, right? We need a compass. We need to know the flow of the air. We need to know what part of the ocean we in order to catch the stream or whatever. And if if we have motors, we need to know how powerful they are so that they can push us in a different direction than the wind if we have to go, right? And then we have to be careful about that because we don't want the boat to do what?
Capsize.
Capsize. So what we do, we always restrict ourselves to the law, to the laws of nature.
Mm-hmm.
As your consciousness evolve to the higher realms of existence, guess what? The first thing you learn, that you must not break the law of karma. You must strictly move only according to the law of karma. So although you gain tremendous power to do tremendous things, you will find that you will never use that energy or that power outside of the law of karma. If you do, you you will the karmic pressure that comes on you will restrict you to the point where you can fall ill or die or have to be reborn again or find yourself so far back that it'll take a couple lifetimes to move back forward. So you always work within the law of karma because you see the danger. The same way you can see the danger of falling when moving so fast is the same way when you gain tremendous power, subtle power, you know, so-called magical power, that those same laws prevail, and that you have to work strictly according to the law of karma. And that's just the nature, because you'll notice that by the time you can move the power kundalini to even the solar plexus center, you'll see tremendous power that you'll gain to do all type of things, you know. But you have to push past that and understand the law. A lot of people like to talk about the repercussion, or the you'll be cursed. No, it's not that. It's you having to follow certain laws. The same way you'll follow a law walking, running, using a boat, or flying an airplane. You know that when you get up in the air, you're floating on the air because of what? Air pressure, right? The air is keeping you up. That's where your lift at. And if you break a rule, what happens?
Crash.
You crash. You crash. So what? You're following the laws of karma. You're following the laws of nature, and laws of karma is laws of nature. That's all it is. So that's why you don't see. That's why you don't see Superman out in the open. That's why you don't see people who have these great powers come out and fly up and do all these wonderful things. You don't see that. Now, the point that you do begin to see that, if you do, then you know that something's really wrong. You know that the law of karma have shifted, and that you're in trouble. You're in big trouble, because the law of karma shifts so far to allow people to operate like that. So now you're in trouble. But the law keep those people who have discovered these powers, and that have developed themselves and can split their bodies up and move the power kundalini through them and work from the higher chakras, that they have to stay within the law of karma, or they're ate up, in a sense. A simple thing to that: if you had a very powerful black musician who was able to go to the higher realms of Earth, and higher realms of Earth are the etheric realms of Earth on the other side, let's say. And the etheric realms are from the heart chakra up to the Christ and crown chakra. If they were able to penetrate to the crown chakra area, to the highest realms of this earth, their consciousness will automatically be split up, and they will be reborn. That's the law of karma. Those type of safeguards are there because of things like the ring pass knot, and because of just natural. It's a natural law within the mind bed of this earth. So they will not be able to just operate. Even if they were to project and disguise themselves and go on the higher realms in order to gain certain knowledge, they will only have a limited time that they can be there. Even us who develop ourselves, who can move out to the etheric realms, the higher etheric realms, we're limited on how long we can stay out of the body because of karmic law. Now, we could build our karma up in order to stay long periods of time, but it still will be a timetable, because that's just the law of karma. And that's why for many, many years you had the yogis who would divorce themselves, renunciate everything, in order to try to build this tremendous wall of good karma, within their auric bodies, in order to be able to enter meditation and be in meditation and stay in solitude for decades, right? In order to be able to expand their time to go to the other realms and learn or whatever. But even they learned that there was a time limit, and that this is really not allowed and permitted now. You have to come out into the public and you have to give of yourself. You have to give service to the world. You have to. So that's the correlation between the two. That's the correlation. Okay.
Hello, Loretta. We received your questions, and Nehemiah's answered a couple of them already. I'll post this class up tomorrow, hopefully. So you'll be able to go back and see what he said.
So.
I have a question online. So if one is trying to be of service to others, why is it so difficult to do so if you're trying to follow the law?
I really just answered that. We live in the sea of mind that we have created for ourselves. We make it difficult for ourselves. And those impurities that we have created for ourselves, because a lot of time, and because of those impurities, and I go back to them, because these are like the major 20 impurities. It could be more, but when you go to the ancient books, and the ancient books, even describing the chakras, they will list these impurities. And see, and this is the state of mind. This is where we are. This is the world that we have created for ourselves. So we have to fight through this. And because these impurities exist within us at different levels, then sometimes we don't see the right, we don't see exactly what's right there in front of us. We cling on to our own fragile belief system, or our own political belief system, or our own self-interest. When you move to a more cosmic level of mind, you have no likes and dislikes, because you know that you're connected. The same way your finger is connected to you, you understand that everyone is connected to you. So to misuse my finger, I'm misusing myself. You begin to understand that. You begin to appreciate that. But now I got to take care of me first. I got to do this for me and don't worry about them. Or I don't identify with them because they have a different color and race and gender and everything else. Those are impurities. And they come out of the mindset of impurities, of impurity traits that's within us. And that's what we have to fight against. And a lot of times when we look and see that we can't serve, we have to really begin to examine ourselves. Why can't we serve? And why is it hard for us to serve? And it's the environment that we created for ourselves. So we have to make room for no failure. If you want to begin to do something, you plan out to a way where there's no room for failure, where you just move forward, and sacrifice when you have to sacrifice and give up when you have to give up. And that's what you have to do if you really want to be of service. So that's the big difference. But we create our own existence. We have to understand that. Any other questions? Mm-hmm.
Is it possible to use the positive traits of the upper chakras to counterbalance or, as you put it, overcome the impurities of the lower chakras?
Yeah, I thought I was explaining that, because we always do. In other words, I told you that the background play of all the chakras is the superconscious mind and the conscious mind, right? And I mean, the supraconscious mind, the superconscious mind, the subconscious mind. Now, what does the superconscious mind do, or the supraconscious mind and the soul? Your inspiration comes from them. They inspire you to do certain things. And just like when you go to do something wrong, all of a sudden something come over you and say, "This is wrong, and I should not do that." Usually, that's your higher self talking to you. That's your superconscious mind talking to you, saying, "Now you know you're doing wrong." You know, so 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 that's the background play. You know, you pass something and you know you should try to correct it, and your mind say, "Well, you know that needs to be corrected." Or something simple like you walk past trash that's on the ground, and you know that well, you see that trash, you need to pick that trash up because it's only gonna create more and more trash and degrade the the area. So that's your higher self always speaking to you to do the right thing. Always, it's always that's the background play. You know. Now you can let it go and cling on to one of your fake belief systems that you have created for yourself, or your political stand that you have created for yourself. You can do that, or you can follow your higher self and do the right thing. You know, it's just like when people go to the polls, they'll say, "Well, I'm a Democrat, or I'm an independent, or I'm this, I'm a Republican." But yet, sometimes all of them can be wrong at one time. You vote their way just because you hold their card, or you vote the way you need to vote. That's something you need to always ask, because your higher self will tell you what to do. If you push aside everything else, you'll know what side to be on, if any side. So that's we're always the higher self is always speaking to you, always telling you the right thing to do. And the only thing that cloud that is you. Is the combination of your own negative karma and the likes and dislikes that you have taken in the yogi mystic world. It tells you kill out desire, kill out likes and dislikes, and know that everything is God. The worst thing on this earth, the most vile person that ever lived on this earth, has a spirit and a soul. And you have to find some way to love them. You don't have to love what they do, but you have to know that you're connected to them. And the only reason why they was allowed to exist is because something you did and everyone else did that gave them the opportunity to do what they do. You have to kill out those opportunities to create terrible things. You know. So that's something you have to realize.
What suggestions do you have to purify the laziness impurity?
That's what all the yogas is about. All the yogas is about purifying the aura. All the yogas, all the all the ancient yogas or the popular yogas that's known. It's known now in these days. You know, 20, 30 years ago, most people didn't know them, but now they do. And it's all the yogas. It's the Nani yoga, which is the yoga of wisdom. That's another thing. The wisdom comes from the upper chakras. So all wisdom is Nani yoga. It's the Bhatha yoga, devoting yourself to God, to spirituality, to doing the right thing. That's Bhatha yoga. Kama yoga is right action in thought, and movement. Because in order to create an action, you have to think about it. So if you think right, then you will act right. So it's all the yogas. It's all the yogas. You have You have Bhatha yoga, the yoga of physical well-being, eating right, drinking right, moving right, exercising right. Incorporate all your actions in an action towards positive things. Not your chosen positive things which will benefit the world. Not your positive things of likes and dislikes, positive things that's going to help the world. Then you have Raja Yoga, which is the yoga of mental development. You know, all the yogas are here. It teaches you everything to do. And you have pranayama, which is a part of Raja Yoga, right? Which is the correct way to breathe, the correct way to manipulate energy within you. And within yoga, within Raja Yoga, you have the 8 limbs of yoga, which sums up all the yogas again. And you have mantra yoga, which is the yoga of sound. And the sound is the way that you harness and manipulate and raise the power of Kundalini. And then you have the yoga of you have Kriya yoga, you have Mudra yoga after mantra yoga, and that's the yoga of hand signs. Then you have Kriya yoga, which is making yoga a daily part of your life, incorporating a systematic way of living your life based on the principles of yoga, incorporating all the yogas. And then you have Tantra yoga, which looms all these yogas together in order to do what? In order to raise the power of Kundalini. In order to raise the power of Kundalini. And then from there you have the Laya yoga, which dissolves consciousness after you have raised the power of Kundalini. It helps you dissolve consciousness to the different levels of of of, uh, of your chakras. But it's there. That's how you burn up the impurities. In the 8 limbs of yoga, it says control your thoughts and actions. That's the first one, yama. The next limb tells you to incorporate observe God in all your actions. So incorporate God or spirituality in all your actions. That further molds your thoughts and actions. So that's nayama. And then the third one is learn the seat of the seats of power, which is a mudra yoga, which is asana. People like to get into yoga positions because they think they look good, but it has nothing to do with that. It's about harnessing power. It's about pulling on the cosmos and allowing this great power to come in your body, and you seal this power within the body, and you redirect this power within the body, and you use this power of the cosmos in order to improve yourself, and then you project it back out to the world in service. That's what it's about. It's not about looking cute. It's not about twisting your body up, you know. And then you have pranayama. After you have learned the seats of power, then you learn pranayama, how to really enhance asanas, the siddhasana, the lotus, how to enhance this by using pranayama. And then you go to the 5th limb, which tells you to withdraw your consciousness, to go within, right? And then the 6th is, okay, now you go within. Now you take your consciousness and you push it down one channel so that nothing else comes in. And then the 7th is contemplation, because once you can direct your thoughts down one channel without any interruption, then you will begin to receive the messages from the higher self, from your superconscious mind, from your supraconscious mind, from the soul. You begin to hear, you begin to see, you begin to the veils drop off, and you become psychic, and then you move from psychic powers to advanced psychic powers to spiritual powers, and then you go into meditation, and that's the pathway, been given to us thousands of years ago. That's the pathway. That's how you take care of the impurities by changing your life, by walking a certain way, not by not in no superficial way. So to answer Loretta's, is there another question?
Um, yeah, but I think you just answered it, but I'll
Okay.
ask anyway.
What was it?
What causes a person to open the mind's eye? Is it karmic alignment, a technique, both, or something else?
Well, I just answered that. The
Yeah.
8 limbs of yoga. So here we are. Loretta was talking about the association of the fingers and the and are there centers in the hands or in the arms? Yes, they are. This diagram kind of show you uh, this. I think you can get this. I think this is on our Facebook. You can download this from our Facebook, I think. So,
It is?
huh?
Did I take it down or
I don't know. I don't know. If not,
I can send it to her?
they can email it to you can email out.
It might be there still.
But this is the correlation between the chakras and the fingers. These are the psychic centers within the finger. So you have a major psychic center within the finger here, within the hand. You have a major psychic center right in the middle, and then you have these minor psychic centers within the joints of the hand or within the hand themselves. And then you have and then these these fingers are also connected to your major chakras in the body. The thumb is connected to the base chakra. This pointing finger is connected to the sex chakra. The fire finger I like calling it's the longest finger is like a flame. Is connected to the solar plexus chakra, and then your ring finger is connected to the heart chakra, and this the pinky finger is connected to the throat chakra. Now, also you can see that it's connected. It has earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And you'll notice that in the chakras, if you go and read the uh, the the knowledge on or the elements of those chakras, you have earth. The base chakra is a earth chakra, and the sex chakra is a water element. The solar plexus is a fire element, and heart chakra is an air element, and the throat chakra is a ether element. In the yogic mystic teachings, either represents etheric sound. Okay, so and most people get this wrong. I don't know why they get it wrong. Uh, when you go back to the ancient teachings, this is how it's given. But in the more popular uh, stuff out there, they twist it all up and give it wrong. But this is the way the yogis and the Hindus lay it out. Swami Sivananda lays it out like this. Uh, Paramahansa Yogananda lays it out. They lay it out like this. Arthur Evelyn lays it out like this. But outside of that, outside of those people, it's laid out differently. I don't know why. I can't answer. But this is your connection. So when you're making the different hand signs or whatever, then you'll see the difference. And it's also connected to the rims of existence as well. Uh, and here on this chart here, I lay it out so you'll know. And all of this is connected to the energy of the sun, earth, and moon. And it's laid out. Um, here we go into it a little bit to show you. There's 360 rays that radiate from the sun, and you'll see that in the base chakra, 56 rays go directly, are connected to the sun through the earth. And in the sex center, you have 62 rays from the earth that comes through the earth from the sun. The tavic rays are the rays that come directly from the sun, and they move through the earth to the lower two chakras. And then in the solar rays go directly to the solar plexus center and the heart center. And when you look at the body and how the body functions, this makes plenty of sense, because you have the solar plexus center that takes care of energy, of transferring energy from plant life, from food, from water, back into the system. And then you have the heart chakra breathing in the air that's been radiated by the sun, and keeping the body in motion, right? So you have that. And then when you look at the moon rays that's being affected by the sun, that reflected moon rays that goes to the throat and the Christ center, these things take care of mental. I cannot speak to you if the throat chakra was not working properly. I can't translate my mental thoughts into sound to come back out at you if the throat center wasn't working. And then I can't even begin to form thought if the energy wasn't flowing through the Christ chakra properly. So all of this, it correlates, and this is ancient knowledge written down thousands of years ago, and it makes plenty of sense to me. And this is a description of the subtle bodies. This is not the physical body. We haven't even touched the physical body yet. This is just talking about the subtle bodies. But we can see that this is the background play for the subtle bodies. I mean, for the physical body. The subtle bodies function in a certain way to allow the physical body to function in a certain way. So it's real interesting when you look at it.
So
This talks about the sound and the kundalini, how the kundalini makes the sound, and it graduates up and allows everything to function. What do you say now?
The stillness of the physical body becomes the background for a movement of one of the subtle bodies.
What do you mean by that?
So when we go into the silence and still the physical body, we're triggering movement in the mental bodies.
Yeah, that's why in the fifth limb you're taught to withdraw your consciousness in order to begin to realize, in order to allow the conscious mind to understand that the only reason why the physical moves is because of the conscious. The only reason why you have projected senses is because of this background play of energy within the mind. See, so you still, after you have corrected your actions through the first 4 limbs of yoga, then you go into the 5th limb of yoga, where you say, okay, withdraw your senses from the world and concentrate on the inside. And like the great cosmic master say, be still and know that thou art God. And that's what the 5th is doing, so that you can begin to withdraw the senses and then focus the mind and take control over the mind and learn to concentrate on one thing for 12 straight hours. And then you'll move on to contemplation and meditation. So it's getting 2 o'clock now. I guess we can close out. I can go over this next week, the 4 states of sound, which is also on the. There's a whole. There's 2 or 3 lectures that talks about this. Let's go. If there's no other questions, is there any other questions?
No.
Okay. So we can go ahead and close out if there's no more questions.
And for everyone online, I will be traveling next
We won't be
Sunday.
here next week. Yeah.
I won't be here next Sunday. So if you do have additional questions, feel free to email them in. And in our next class, we'll address those. Switch. Okay. The New Lord's Prayer. O divine and wondrous Spirit, O everlasting Lord of hosts, send forth now through me thy great and lasting power. Allow me, Almighty God, the lasting privilege of radiating to all the world thy great love, so that those who suffer may be given the power and energy to rise above their weaknesses. Almighty God, in great humility do I ask you to send forth your power, to give to me this great lasting privilege of being a channel, so that my suffering brothers may be helped and guided and healed and lifted into thy light, so that they who know not may look up and in doing so receive to their higher selves your divine counsel. Almighty God, this day have you granted me a divine privilege. I ask you now to give to me the strength so that never again will I turn from my inner vision of you. Oh, great peace, great peace, great peace. In praise of your greatness, O God, doth my soul sing. Grant it energy to sing on forever and forever. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back in 2 weeks, 2 Sundays.